This man is a despicable human being, Marvel comic book villain level. At least if the allegations are true, based on what News Channel 8 says, he ultimately ended up getting 3 properties that were worth about $1.6 million out of Volusia County, Florida. This man, who is a realtor, allegedly was hired by an elderly couple to sell property for them. But once they got sick and they both ended up in the hospital, this man somehow manipulated the paperwork that they signed to have himself put in power, not only as their realtor, but as their healthcare surrogate, their power of attorney with regard to handling their other business that had nothing to do with the real estate. And he ultimately even signed a do not resuscitate order and had one of the couple taken off of life support. And ultimately, after both of them were deceased, he ultimately ended up having their property transferred over to himself because this man manipulated their final estate planning paperwork and had himself made as the beneficiary on all of their property. He ultimately ended up getting 3 properties that were worth about $1.6 million. This man ultimately used his paperwork to fraudulently create more paperwork that put him not only in charge of the real estate that he was supposed to be selling for them, but also in charge of their other business as well, meaning that he'd be able to handle their finances, and it allowed him to do things like use their credit cards and their bank information in order to take himself out to dinner, buying drinks, in order to get teeth whitening procedures. You already didn't need another reason to make sure that you take care of mom and dad. This is certainly something that you should be taking into consideration. Make sure that you work with mom and dad to get their affairs in order. As a matter of fact, you should probably also make sure that you have your affairs in order. These type of people are absolutely out there, and although it's probably impossible to completely protect yourself from a situation where these type of people who try hard enough will come in and do ungodly things to you or to your parents, but if you are working with mom and dad and you guys have the proper paperwork in order and you're stepping up to the plate to be their agent as a dutiful child should, then you are in a much better position to be able to keep a handle on this type of thing to stop this from happening. This is attorney Marcus Sermons from Sermons Law with another episode of Interesting Lawyer Stuff.